Welcome to at.insider. My name's Eleanor, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about what I consider to be the best study method for people with specific learning disabilities, and more specifically, people with dyslexia. Now, I want to preface before I get into the rest of this video by saying, if this doesn't work for you, that's totally okay. As with every other one of my videos and articles, this is just my advice and something that has worked for me in the past, and I hope to share with you. The learning process and how every person studies is so unique to every individual and their learning styles and needs and differences. And if this isn't the way that you best learn, that's awesome, and you can share with me how you best learn, so maybe I can make a video about that to help other people, because that's ultimately all I'm trying to do. So without further ado, let's jump right in. The low and slow method is kind of what it says in the title, where you do a small amount of work, so a small workload each day over a long period of time. So you don't have any burnout and you're not rushing or cramming. What that would look like depends on the assessment, the assignment, the test, or the individual person. For example, if I'm going to have a multivariable calculus test, I will probably start studying 5-ish days in advance, printing out extra worksheets, going through notes, reviewing past tests, etc. But when it comes to a very big standardized test like the SAT, I would do what I did, which was study for basically 8 months. And again, that sounds insane, and it kind of is when you think about the way that other people usually study. But just as the name implies, I wasn't studying for 2 hours an hour every day for 7 months. For the first 4 months, I was studying for maybe 15 minutes a day, maybe an hour every other day, slowly getting work done. And so that's what the low and slow method is. All right, voiceover Eleanor here to add a little bit more to the SAT anecdote. I ultimately took the SAT once, did well, and never thought about it again. My stress ended the day I took the test, and I have not thought about it since, freeing up the entirety of the latter half of my junior year and my senior year. And this is in comparison to many friends I have who have taken the test now 3, 4, and even 5 times trying to get the result that they want. And this has ultimately made their SAT process or journey stretch on for over a year, increasing their stress, the amount of energy they've had to spend, and of course the time they've spent. So while in the short term it may have seemed like I spent more time or energy, in the long run it was actually extraordinarily beneficial to study low and slow, nail it once, and not have to worry about it. All right, back to regular filming Eleanor to continue the video. Now, there are plenty of articles that have already determined that cramming does not work and is not an effective way of remembering information and does not help you effectively recall that information when you're taking a test. In fact, I'll actually pop up a couple of those articles and findings on screen right now. I think it is even more critical that people with specific learning disabilities don't try to cram. The first reason is that dyslexia and anxiety have a link. They are comorbid. I'll pop a study on the screen that I found. There are a bunch of them that talk about the connection and the rates of people with dyslexia that have anxiety, and they usually vary around 30%. So it's not more likely than not, but it is still a high percentage chance that if you have dyslexia, you also struggle with some form of anxiety. And in addition, you don't need a generalized anxiety disorder to struggle from anxiety. And that anxiety is often provoked for people with dyslexia during the study process, because you have to go through so many more hurdles than do your non-dyslexic peers. And I'm not even getting into, and I will touch on anxiety come test day, but just in the preparation period. To get the proper resources, worksheets, audiobooks has a bunch of hurdles that you need to jump over. And so studying can become a very anxiety-producing process. And you can help mitigate this anxiety by stretching out your study period over a longer amount of time. If you well up with anxiety and need to take a break, you have plenty of time to do so. You're not cramming the night before. It's not like time is of the essence. Instead, you can take a break and walk away and come back to it because you have plenty of time allocated towards studying. All right, the second reason revolves around not you taking the test, but the people around you who need to help you show your capability come test day. Now, what do I mean by that? This whole channel revolves around the use of assistive technology and accommodations for people with dyslexia and other specific learning disabilities. And using that equipment or getting those accommodations requires the help of a support network, of a team. And so not only do you need to have time to prepare for a test, most likely your support network at school or your parents or whoever is helping you need to also prepare for the test, whether that is getting you a reader or an extra room, making your teacher aware, or getting you an accessible form of the test. And this can take a range of time depending on your school or your support system or how new they are to the process of supporting you. But usually I would say try to give it a week. The moment you realize that you have a test from a teacher, make sure you tell your support network. And what would be even better is if your teacher can actually communicate ahead of time, if they have a syllabus or if they just have a plan that is not shared with students, with your support network, so that everyone can have ample time. And this is even more critical when dealing with institutions like the College Board or whoever runs the ACT. I talk about in my videos about taking the PSAT and the SAT with accommodations. I said before in this video that it took me 7 to 8 months to study for the SAT. It took me 9 months to stay in contact with College Board, and I had prepared for over a year talking with my school. Because unlike your school where you may just need to talk to your teacher the next day to make sure everything's confirmed, College Board may not get back to your email for a month or 2 months. So you need to give yourself and them ample time to make sure everything's set up come test day. All right, the third reason is based on burnout. Now, I don't have a study for this, so you're just going to have to take my word. But studying, at least for me, is super draining and super duper tiring. Especially when I have to keep converting things, or if I'm ever forced to iRead, or when I'm working on an English assignment or a writing assignment. It takes me a ton of time, and I've talked about this before. It may just take you more time and even more than that, more energy, more effort to actually involve yourself in the studying process. And that can be super draining. And to do that for 5 hours straight the night before is sometimes untenable. At least it has proven to be for me. And so I think allowing yourself to take an hour studying here and take a break, and then do an hour here and take a break. Ultimately, I think it's very beneficial to have plenty of time so that you can take smaller chunks of studying and make sure you're getting ample rest so that you don't burn out. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. This again was a smaller video, and that's because I'm actually actively working on a couple bigger projects that are taking more of my time, and I cannot wait to share those with you, so stay tuned. If you want to see more videos like this, you can go to my channel, which you're already on, or you can head to my website, which will be the first link in the description below, where I have written articles for a lot of the reviews that I've done. And there's content exclusive to both my YouTube channel and my website, so I suggest you check out both if you want to. If you want to have more videos like this where I talk about study methods, then you can just comment down below or shoot me an email, which is also going to be in the description. Also, you can email me if you ever have any comments, need any help, or want any advice. All right, I hope you have a great day. I know you can do this.